With the NFL draft about a week ago at this point, I want to look at some of the winners and losers coming out of the draft for the Broncos, because you better believe that the other 75 guys on Denver's roster were paying very close attention to see who was picked by the Broncos and, most importantly, what positions were picked. So my first winner for Denver is Bo Nix, because the Broncos, while it may not have been as early as some of us would have preferred, they did go out and get a running back with one of their first 2 draft picks. And you got to envision that that's what Bo Nix wanted to see. So now you've got R.J. Harvey out of UCF joining this Broncos running back room, and the hope is the ground game will improve, and that will just take a little bit off of Bo Nix's plate, especially for a quarterback entering his second season where defensive coordinators have a whole year of tape to study up on him. But Harvey is a very fun type of prospect. I mean, he is physical and violent with the way he runs. He has good speed. There is optimism that he can really develop into a nice receiving back as well. You can look what the scouting report was for him coming out of UCF. He played a good amount of college football. Tom Downey had him ranked as his number 6 running back, 72 overall. That's our NFL draft expert here at Chat Sports. He may not be the fastest guy in this draft class at that position, but he's definitely going to pack a punch. And I think a strong run game is just going to create more opportunities for success in the passing game, right? These things work in tandems. I mean, on an offense, we always talk about you got to run the ball to pass the ball, right? Well, sometimes you got to pass the ball to run the ball as well. And Denver did not have an issue with moving the ball through the air. But now they got to find a running back or two that on 3rd and 3, 2nd and short, they can trust to hand it off to and go, that's a fresh set of downs, and now we can milk some more time off the clock late in the 4th quarter with the lead that Bo Nix in the passing game helped build earlier in the game. So I've got Bo Nix as a winner for me in the early stages of the NFL draft for Denver. Okay, so with the ground game, getting improved, let's look at my first loser. And I don't love putting loser next to these guys, but it maybe wasn't the most ideal draft. And I'm going to say Troy Franklin, and depending on what your, cup of tea is, you could swap that out with like Devaughn Vele. But the general consensus here is with Denver adding a wide receiver in day 2 of the draft, some of those players that were hoping to break out in year 2 that were day 3 picks last year may get pushed down the depth chart a little bit. Now, before we talk more about Troy Franklin, Devaughn Vele, and Pat Bryant and all these receivers, we crossed 35,000 subscribers earlier this week, so thank you to everyone who went ahead already and clicked that sub button. Now we want to get to 36,000. So do me and you a big favor right now and click that sub button for the best free Broncos YouTube content out there. So Franklin last year, I thought, put together a really strong ending to the season, right? I mean, we hardly saw him at the beginning of the year, but that's not too uncommon, right? Rookies take a little bit of time to get used to the NFL swing of things. And then Franklin, I thought, played some good football down the stretch. However, with the addition of Pat Bryant, him and Devaughn Vele may feel like, all right, we've got someone biting at our tails right now for snaps and for a higher spot on the depth chart. So if you see a player at your position get taken in rounds 1 through 3 of the draft, most of the time that's not really good news. And Bryant, coming out of Illinois, is someone that I think Sean Payton is drawn to because of the wide catch radius. He's got sneaky good yards after the catch ability. Does he have the greatest long speed burner like Marvin Mims or Franklin? No, but I do think he can really help Bo Nix when it comes to being a big target to throw to. So Franklin got the playoff game started off with a bang, a touchdown against Buffalo. But him / Devaughn Vele, I don't want to single just one out, so we'll kind of lump them together here. Those are 2 guys who went in rounds 4 and 7 or 6 last year for Vele that, hey, had pretty solid rookie years, but the NFL is not for long, right? So you've already got someone younger. Well, for Vele, a lot of people are younger, but someone new on the roster that's trying to take your spot on the depth chart and get more snaps. So I think there's a possibility that Troy Franklin, with Pat Bryant coming in here, could see a slight snap reduction because there's only one football and there's a lot of mouths to feed. So who was your biggest winner from the draft for Denver? Let me know in the comment section below. If you're unsure right now, just wait till after the video's over and you can copycat one of mine. Or if you've got someone on your own that you want to suggest, toss it in the comment section down below. The second winner I want to highlight is Alex Singleton, who's coming off a torn ACL he suffered in Week 3 last season. Remember, that happened against the Buccaneers in between Denver's Tampa and New York game on the road. And he played the entire game with a torn ACL, and it wasn't until they got to the Greenbrier Resort where he's like, hey, he's feeling a little funny. Like, oh, that's because you played 4 quarters with the torn ACL. So I've got Singleton down as a winner, though, because no one thought that he would be a slam dunk to come back and just pick up right where he left off, coming off an ACL at his age. I was optimistic and still am, but there's no guarantees with older players coming off injuries. So fair to assume, hey, they may go with, say, a linebacker. Instead, that's not what Denver did, right? Sure, they added to the defense. They got Savion Jones out of LSU, but it's more of like a John Franklin Myers replacement than an Alex Singleton replacement. Q Robinson was the next round. He's going to be an outside linebacker, more of a developmental project. Has some good tools, but we got to see that kind of come together a little bit. But at the end of the day, Singleton has got to be, having a huge sigh of relief that Denver did not go with an inside linebacker in this draft. They've got faith in Singleton bouncing back, and I think actions speak louder than words. Sure, they added Dre Greenlaw, but they also had to replace Cody Barton. So with Singleton and Greenlaw in line to start for this season, if both guys are healthy, which, listen, that's a big if because those two players have had some gruesome injuries in the last 18 to 24 months. If both are healthy, this could be one of the best defenses Denver has seen, in a long time. So with that, let's switch gears and talk about a loser. And I'm going to go with cornerback Jaquan McMillan. I feel bad for him. He's been so fun to watch. He's been a takeaway machine for the Broncos. Remember that 2023 season, the 5-game winning streak for Denver, and all that was fueled by the defense and the takeaways, and he was a huge part of those takeaways. And despite that, he's sitting on his couch watching the draft, and what do you know? The Broncos, with the 20th overall pick, I think take his replacement, and that is Texas do-it-all corner Jahdae Barron, who's got incredible ball skills. I don't think he's got the size to play outside corner at the next level, so I think he best projects as a nickel corner, and that is where McMillian has made a living so far. So Barron is going to step into camp and immediately begin competing for that starting inside corner job to work at the slot. And it would be a very fun cornerback trio between him, Moss, and Pat Surtain for hopefully years to come. But the versatility that Barron offers, I think that's probably going to be something that the coaches view too valuable to just leave on the bench. And that's where we could see a switch made at nickel. Does it have to happen instantly? No, I don't think so. I think Jaquan has shown over the last 2 years he's a very good quality starting inside corner, but the Broncos felt like, hey, this could be better and more long-term for us, and we just can't pass up on that good of a prospect at pick 20, so we're going to go that route. And at the end of the day, there's going to be a casualty here, and I think that casualty is McMillian. All right, before we talk more about some winners and losers, if you want to get the Broncos rookies jersey, go to chatsports.com/Barron. I put this link in the comments and description of today's video. Get yourself a brand new Broncos uniform and support the channel during the same time by using this link, chatsports.com/Barron. All right, getting back to some of our winners and losers now. My third and final winner for Denver is going to be center Luke Wattenberg. He is the only question mark Denver has on the offensive line, right? Just visually go with it from left to right with me. You got Garrett Bowles and Ben Powers. Powers entering the final year of his contract, so he could be flexible moving forward. But Wattenberg, he won the job last offseason, taking over from Lloyd Cushenberry. And then you got Miners to his right and McGlinchey, two guys you feel comfortable with for years to come. However, Wattenberg is the one, I don't know, Jim, right? I'm not so sure because he was a 5th-round pick out of Washington that played okay. He was good against the pass, and that's very valuable, but the run game was lacking, and I think he was a part of that problem. He was an average, center at best, kind of below average. Pro Football Focus ranked him out of 40 centers, 18, but there's only 32, day one starting centers. So if you remove some of the guys that came in to play a few games as backups, you could look at it as 18 out of 32. We're talking, back of the pack right here. But the reason why Watenberg, despite maybe the way I've been talking the last few minutes, is a winner and not a loser is because Denver did not make a splash center addition in the draft, right? They didn't go with one of the Georgia interior offensive linemen. Instead, the only notable center that they added was UDFA Clay Webb, who we did a whole video about when talking about the UDFA signings and the very next day's video with a very unusual, uncharacteristic signing by the Broncos, given his background and a federal lawsuit standing against him right now. But he was a big-time recruit coming out of Alabama, 5-star that went to Georgia, ended up transferring to Jacksonville State. He was an all-conference player there and falls out of the draft, but the Broncos swooped him up, and he could really push for that starting center job. But every single offseason, there's going to be guys that come for your job. And if the only competition that a team brought in for your position is a UDFA, you got to feel pretty confident that you're in good standing with the team. So hopefully this offensive line, I don't want to say it could be better next year because it was good last year. I just want the ground game to be better. And that predominantly starts up front with the 5 big fellas. But the running back room last year was bad. And with R.J. Harvey added to the mix, hopefully we'll get a nice boost out of it. But Wattenberg joins a very good, I think underappreciated, underrated offensive line in Denver in the starting ranks. So if you love Broncos coverage for absolutely nothing, make sure you go ahead and subscribe today. That way you can stay locked in for your favorite team all season long. Really appreciate those of you that keep up with us for the entire offseason. We're not going to slow down our coverage, though. I know the draft is over, and a lot of people take their other foot off the gas here. We are not. So make sure you click that sub button down below if you have not already, and I'll see you all later.